Welcome to Nasdaq TradeTalks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us for this segment, we have Cevat Yerli, CEO of the TMRW Foundation, to discuss scaling the Metaverse economy. Cevat, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to TradeTalks.
Thanks for having me, Jill. It's great to be here. Thank you.
You got it. What is the total addressable market for the Metaverse economy, and where does the TMRW Foundation sit in the ecosystem?
The Web3 economy is depending on who you ask, right? But if you ask McKinsey or Goldman or Citibank, it ranges between $8 to $11 trillion market opportunity. And overall, it is an opportunity of change where we are seeing this not just about the metaverse, but rather the other picture is about future of the internet, how 2D internet, that is today a solo player internet, like from a gaming perspective, how a single user internet goes from 2D pages to 3D and together. Today's digital internet is about $10 trillion already, right? So the opportunity is somewhere between 8 to 11 trillion for metaverse or $10+ trillion for the future of the internet.
So when you think about the metaverse and Web 3.0, why do you think the concept of a for-profit foundation model makes sense for this as you look forward?
Yes, so the way we look at it is actually traditionally businesses have done billions, in some cases trillions, at the cost of people and planet, and at the cost of user data, for example, right? Or they required also people to adapt to the technology they create. And we're seeing a new model is required to be more sustainable and to do the right job. And to do the right thing, a for-profit foundation model is very interesting because we are looking at this as do the right thing for people, empower people, do the right thing what's right for the planet, and then make profits, right? Because we don't want to destroy or take benefit of something first and then build a foundation to improve it again, right? We want to do it right, sustainable, resilient. And I think that's the model to go for the future. And when you look at the internet's responsibility and power that comes with the future of the internet, you have to do what's right? And so by adapting technology to become more human, this is our philosophy, right? It has to be more human in every aspect, right? And it has to impersonate what we are about. We are social animals. We need to get together, right? And so all of these things factor in. It's about accountability. It's about responsibility. It's about reality. So I think the more technology forms to become more human, the more we do the right thing as well.
Right, well, let's talk about trust and true digital identity. We know one of the issues with Web 2.0 certainly is around trust and safe use of the internet. With Web 3, do you think a system built on trust and true identity is achievable?
Yes, it's a very good question, Jill. I think that it goes hand in hand, right? The internet today is a world of anonymity, right? There's a huge ocean where people are either behind profiles or avatars going forward in the metaverse vision. I think for the future of the internet, as we call it, the internet of life, or the future of the internet needs to be about real identity. It needs to be about being responsible as a human being, just like in real life. When I go to a coffee shop, be it a metaverse in real life, right? If I'm in a real world, in a coffee shop, I can't hide my identity. I am myself as a person, right? I am joining that space. And so real identity is about also providing trust to the other one. So when you're face to face as a real person in a digital context, like in the internet of life, and they get together in shared spaces, then you want to make sure that everybody behaves as he would behave in real life too. And with that also, it's about accountability. Like if you behave wrong, right, the law applies to you as well, right? The law of behaving and harassing. And so these are topics that we take very serious. And we are looking at solutions that brings trust and safety to the foreground. And that's why we focus on real people and real spaces, because when you look at trust, when you look, for example, when you meet with a banker or with a doctor in the future of the internet, you want to be trusting that doctor. And it starts with the real person. Then it's about the space. You have a space of familiarity, right? You have a space of a teacher, a person, and of a teacher, and the space of a school. That's a space of trust and a space of person, right? Trust of person. So for us, trust starts with the experience, and it's about real people and familiar real spaces to solve real problems. If I start with that, yeah, and also add accountability to it, we are in a very nice picture of a future.
Right. And it sounds ideal, but what does moderation look like in Web3? I mean, Web2 content moderation, particularly in the United States, is a mess. I mean, nobody can agree on it. Section 230 clearly is outdated. So what does that look like going forward? Just, holding people accountable, or will there be a regulatory body, or do you think updates to legislation that's going to properly moderate this and keep the internet safe?
Yes, and I think governments play, of course, regulatory responsibility here, but I also think it's about how businesses use platforms that provide the tools that allow them to supervise. And I don't want to use the word police, right? But it's more about supervision and being able to take people accountable for their bad actions and bad behaviors, and then forward it to authorities so that they can continue dealing with it, right? I think it's a responsibility for the businesses to work with the authorities whenever it happens, and make sure that people know that that can happen, and people should behave based on their ability to, just like in real society, right? I think it's critical that we support an environment where everybody feels safe, and the interplay starts with the user. It's the business that has to provide that framework, but also the authorities have to be clear that law applies also in digital. If harassment happens in digital space, that's harassment, irrespectively of if it's digital space or physical space. It is harassment at the end of the day, right? We need to avoid this kind of thing. So the platform, the business, let's say it's about a dating app for a second, right? And if a harassment happens in this context, then the authorities have to be able to, the business has to be able to work with the authority if a user complains about it, right? That chain has to be protected. And I think Web3 provides a digital infrastructure for change that systems that we have in place today, which is a walled garden, and provides us opportunity to reinvent that whole chain of legal thoughts, if you want.
Okay, we appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.